What's going on? It's time to talk about another vampire film. Today I'm going to be talking about The Reflecting Skin. It was released by Miramax November 9th, 1990. Starring Viggo Mortensen, produced by Jim Reach, and written and directed by Philip Ridley, who would go on to do other films like The Passion of Darkly Moon, Heartless, The Craze, and The Universe of Dermot Finn. And yeah, it's had a budget of around $1.5 million and a box office earning fully 17,042 bucks apparently. Yeah, The Reflecting Skin, like I said, somewhat of a vampire film. It's marketed as a horror film, but this is like a really dark thriller. And most of it takes place in the daytime, so it's pretty odd and weird. This film, and it's going to be a little interesting trying to describe it to you. But let's try it. So you're following a young boy named Seth who's about 8 years old, and he begins with him and his friends playing a prank on the local nutcase woman, and yeah, by blowing up frogs, like legit blowing air into frogs and makes them like really big like this, and then they explode over time. Yeah, and it scares her and freaks her out and stuff. And yeah, but then things start going a little weird. He starts yeah, one of his friends disappears and then shows up dead on his property, and his parents' property, anyways. And I might spoil this, by the way. But yeah, and yeah, so but he lives with a dysfunctional family, a really abusive mother, and a father who's pretty much broken mentally and stuff. He just doesn't want to live anymore and is depressed and doesn't know what to do with his life. And then like they start blaming him for this murder, and so yeah, he can't handle it. He legit takes a gasoline pump, puts it in his mouth, and you see all his gasoline, douses himself, lights himself on fire right in front of his 8-year-old son. And yeah, it just starts off like that. And it's like, wow, this is a really dark film to watch. Like, you're basically watching a kid witness all these dark things, and in his own mind he tries to piece it together, but he's not at that maturity level to understand some of it. So yeah, where there's like a lot of like depressive tones in it. And yeah, so like he goes, and him and his friend sneak into his neighbor's house, the blonde lady that they played a prank on. And she's like um having a she's basically playing with herself, let's just say that. And yeah, but then she sees him and freaks out. And they're in there because he thinks she's a form of vampire causing all the weird stuff, and they're trying to see if they can find anything in her house. So yeah, and then like yeah, bad things just keep happening. He eventually finds this like stillborn fetus that he thinks is like an angel, and like cuddles up with it in his bed and talks to it. And yeah, there's just tons of weird things just happen with this kid. And yeah, it's really dark and disturbing to watch, like knowing what's actually going on and how he's perceiving it and like going through it. And they even it takes place in the 1950s, so it has like old school like punishment techniques, like drinking a jug of water, all of it. Like you can technically drown a kid by doing that, but yeah, and it's very dark and depressing for some of it, but it's purposely done that way. Now it's like beautifully shot though. It's like on nice sunny days in the farmland. It takes place in Idaho in the 1950s, so you get that farming community feel, and it's like yeah. Then you have like the neighbors have like a dead animal, and they're walking around making the same sounds as it and weird things like that. And then his brother comes home halfway through the film, played by Viggo Mortensen, and yeah, he takes a liking to this vampire woman. And yeah, just and then his younger brother doesn't get why, and it's just him trying to piece everything together. He runs into like the sheriff, who they're trying to talk to the kid and get him to be like a witness and stuff. And yeah, and as the film progresses, more and more dark, crazy things happen. Eventually, he just mentally breaks, and just starts letting it all out, and then that's basically the end of the film. Yeah, the reflecting skin is very dark and disturbing. It was way more darker and depressive and just disturbing than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be like an immortality film, but no, definitely not. It is actually really well put together. I wish there's a little more of a narrative to the story. It was more like a disturbing thing after disturbing thing after a dark disturbing thing happening all at once, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds and fizzles out near the end. And yeah, for the most part though, it's pretty enjoyable. It's one of those films that you can't watch like all the time. It's definitely one of the more odd films to check out. It's not going to be for everyone. This is more for like people who like David Lynch style stuff and like odd films like that, like Eraserhead and weird artsy sort of films, but have like dark overtones to it. And that if you like that type of depressive style of thriller, this is more of a thriller than a horror film. So yeah, if you like more of that style, you'd probably be into this one. And this is definitely one that a lot of people missed out on, and I'm surprised because there's really not much to complain about besides the lack of a narrative, but there's still like really good developed characters, and you really feel for it when bad things happen to them, and there's never really a dull moment. There's always something jarring happening, and you never know what's going to happen next, which is really good for a thriller. And just having the vampire like influence in there is a nice little refreshing thing. You don't see it in movies. This is something that where you don't see in movies a lot these days. It actually gets under your skin. The more time you leave after you watch it, the more you think about it and realize like how in depth and eerie and odd it is, and it's just weird. So you should definitely check it out. It's really good. I'm gonna rate this one a 4.5 out of 5. I was pretty impressed with it. Some people may find it really boring though, but it's because it's a slow burn. But definitely check it out. It's one of the more dark, disturbing movies I've seen in a while. So Reflecting Skin is worth your time. Yeah, there's a trail link down below. It doesn't do it justice, but I'll link it down below in case you're interested. Also, link down below is my Instagram where I post clips of films I'm going to review in the future on my story. And I also put the film title and hashtag and subgenre film and hashtag so you're aware of it. And also my Letterbox is linked down below at Derek P Reviews. That's where I post my first star rating right after watching the films. So yeah, follow me on one of those two to stay in the loop and keep up. Yeah, like this video, share so more people aware of it, and yeah, so more people can talk about it. And yeah, if you have any films that you want to hear my opinions on in the future, comment those down below. I'll try my best to get to them as soon as I can, and if I can find them. And let me know your thoughts on this film if you've seen it. Yeah, I'd love to hear what your thoughts were on it. And yeah, make sure you subscribe because you never know what I'm going to talk about next. And hopefully find something weird, odd, and obscure just like this. That hopefully you never seen and we'll check out and we could talk about it. So yeah, definitely make sure you subscribe. Watch out for all those creepy neighbors and all those weird, bad people out there. And I guess I'll see you all in the next review. Definitely check out The Reflecting Skin. It's really good. So, until the next one. Cheers.